Hello, right, this week we're going to be doing self-portraits. This is not a self-portrait that I did of myself. This is a self-portrait by a pupil of mine from many years ago called Paddy. I've treasured it ever since I had it. I've had it for about 10 years. We did a lesson on self-portraits and getting our proportions right. Proportions means how things fit together. Children, when they first start drawing, they draw shapes and they put things together and they make associations with shape. They don't always look carefully at what they're actually seeing. As my friend Maud always said, you need to listen to your eyes when you're doing drawing, which is a funny thing to think about, but it means really looking at what you see. This week we're going to be doing a self-portrait. You will need a mirror, you'll need a pencil and a piece of paper, and you're going to be looking more at what you see. Everybody's faces are different, the shapes of your faces are different, where your hair sits is different, the shapes of your ears will be different, the shapes of your lips, your nose. Everyone is an individual and everyone's unique. But the proportion, which is how the bits all fit together, that always stays the same. So I'm going to teach you the basics on how your proportions of your face, or how the proportion of your faces are laid out. And you can use that to do your own portrait. It's really good fun. Once you've got the method and you've got the technique, you produce realistic looking pictures. Before that, it all looks a little bit cartoony and weird. So I'm going to explain that to you now. Okay, so here I am. This is me on here, now looking back at you over there. I've got my piece of paper here, and I'm going to be looking in my mirror all the time. If I look in my mirror all the time, I get to see where everything fits together. I'm going to take my glasses off for now because I'm not going to draw those first. And I am rather ideally suited to this because of my new corona hairstyle. I can actually see the shape of my head, which is really important. The first thing you need to do is get your paper, and of course paper, you can have it two ways. You can have it landscape or portrait, and because we're doing portraits, we need it portrait. If you think about it, your head is taller than it is wide. All right. First thing you need to look at is the shape of your face. So the shape of my face is quite round, although I have got under my beard quite a pointed, it's not too pointed, but there's quite a flat bit at the bottom of my chin. I know that from looking in previous times. You of course will be doing this from the mirror. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and get my shape on there. The other thing about my head is it's symmetrical, which means it's the same on both sides, roughly. No one is ever perfectly symmetrical. So, I'm going to look at my head. First thing I'm going to do is draw a line lightly down the middle of my page. Then I know that this side and this side are going to be the same. Top of my head will be there. Bottom of my head will be there. Again, I'm not pressing light, I'm not pressing hard, I'm pressing very lightly. So that's your first point. The next bit that you need to look at, so number one is head shape, and number two is your eyes. Now your eyes, if I actually measure this gap here, it's the same as this gap here. So my eyes fit halfway down my face. What a lot of children do is they draw a face like this. They draw eyes up here, and they put hair on top like that. They do a nose in the middle, and they put a mouth on the bottom. Beautiful, absolutely lovely, but no one I know looks like that. That looks like that's not the way it works. All right. Eyes come halfway up. So if I draw a line halfway across my face, that is where my eyes will go. I don't know if you can see that on me, but my eyes are halfway up. Next thing I need to do is I need to look really carefully at my eyes. Now eyes are very individual. They're very much sort of show your soul, I suppose, but there is a proportion to them. The width of your eye is exactly the same width as the gap between them. So the bridge of your nose and the width of your eyes will be exactly the same. So first thing you need to do is mark where the bridge of your nose will go. I've got those two little marks there. All of these lines, of course, will go away when I've finished. That distance now is the same distance as the shape or the size of my eyes. can see there, starting to look a little bit weird. It looks a bit scary actually. It looks like someone's really scary. It looks even worse if you put eyes in. Now this of course is where you start looking carefully at what you can see. You don't have to go nuts on the detail yet. You don't need to get into the detail at all yet. That's something you can do later. The next bit of the proportion of your face you need is your nose. Now your nose, the bottom of your nose, actually fits halfway between your eyes and your chin. If you measure that distance, the distance of your nose, it's about the same distance as your chin. I've got a beard, so I've got a little bit extra on the bottom. So I know that my nose will be halfway between there and there. So at about there. Now your nose itself, you need to look really carefully around the bottom of your nose. My nose tends to stick down quite a lot. I've got fairly big nostrils. I'm not going to put any more detail on than that. I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'm going to go back and look at it carefully later. The next part after that is where your mouth goes. Now, I'm talking about the middle line of my mouth. If I measure my top lip with my finger, and I'd like you to have a go at doing this if you can, that is 1/3 of the way down to your chin. Or in other words, your top lip is double your chin. So it's 1/3 of the way down. If you measure it, you'll get 2 bits here to 1 bit there. So I'm looking from the bottom of my nose to the bottom of my chin, and I need to split that into 3. And that means that my mouth is going to go somewhere along there. You can see already that this is starting to look real. It's starting to look more real than that. Right, so the next part is from the iris, the middle of your iris, or your pupil, sorry, the middle bit of your eyes. If you take a line down from there, that is how wide your mouth will be. Everybody has the same thing going on. It's very strange, I don't know why. So I know that the corners of my mouth will go to there. Of course, after that, you start looking at your lips. You might have thin lips, you might have full lips, you might have thicker lips. Any which way round, you'll need to do some proper observational drawing there and look really, really close and really listen to your eyes on that one. The next part that you've got to do is your ears. Now your ears are quite big. They're unbelievably big actually, because they go from the top of your eyes to the bottom, or to where your mouth is. So actually, if you put your fingers on the side of them, you can see that they're quite big. So if I draw a little line out, there and there, there and there. This is the bit that people always get really freaked out by, so don't, just keep with it. What you have to do is look very carefully at the shape of your ears. Some people have ears that pin in, stick out at the bottom. Some people have really big earlobes that stick out compared to the rest of the ears. Everyone's ear is different. My ears tend to stick out at the top and go into the earlobes like that. And this, I stress, this is not actually me doing an observational drawing of myself, because I'm not really looking at this properly. And you, of course, will be. Now, the last bit is hair. Now, I'm in a pretty unique situation because I haven't got any hair at the moment. But if you look at the hair on my head, it grows down, and it would come down over my forehead. And I can demonstrate this quite ridiculously by putting on a wig. And I know who I look like with this wig. It's a bit Borisy, all right? But you can see there that my hair falls down over my forehead. Yeah? That's where it would be if I had loads and loads of it. You've probably got more hair than me, being younger and all the rest of it. So when it comes to making a hairstyle on your head, your hair will come down and it will cover your forehead. So most of your head is actually hair, if you think about it. So I'm going to do my sort of scribbly surface hair, Boris Johnson hair. Yeah, so you start to see there how real it looks compared to that. The last thing you need to do is your neck. Now, one thing that kids always do is they do a neck like that. No one's neck's that thin. Absolutely no one's neck's that thin. Your neck usually comes to about, or starts at the edge of your jaw. So about here. So it's sort of in a little bit, but not much. So my neck should start about there. There you go. Now, once I've done all of that, I could start looking over at myself, and that's when you really need your mirror. You really start looking at details, because you'll start putting in things like eyelids and eyelashes, eyebrows. And again, I'm not doing this from observation. You would be. Everyone's eyebrows are different shapes. Everyone has different texture in your eyebrows. Everyone's noses are slightly different. Okay, so that's it. I know that there's a lot of steps in that, but if you follow it stage by stage, it'll probably help you to produce a more realistic looking drawing than some drawings that sometimes children do when they're not thinking about what they're doing. Just remember, there are the steps, there are 10 steps, and I've laid them out next, so you'll be able to pause them if you want to and have a look at them properly, and just make sure that you're following them correctly. You can also go back and pause the video if you want to, and follow it step by step that way. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing what you do.